Hello, fellow duelists and collectors. I bet you're wondering right off the bat, hey, where did he get this cool new style of playmat? No, this isn't a new style of playmat. This is what happens when you buy a white playmat and think, yeah, I'm totally gonna keep this clean. So, welcome. Oh, there's all kinds of things that can make it dirty. Welcome to another video. This is on my power play deck or beat down deck, where it's all about monsters' attack powers, and it's based on if decks didn't have extra decks, what it would be like and what people would play like. I think more at least for a standard non-specific deck that doesn't have any archetype or meta about it. So I'll just get right off with it. And I know immediately you're gonna think, whoa, what is this cool new holographic card that I've never seen? If you can't read it, it's Gore's the Emissary of Darkness. And this is what happens when you put hand sanitizer on a card and then let it sit and then take it off and then scratch off the image, thinking that, hey, this might look really cool. Turns out, no, it just ruins your cards and makes you regret doing that in the first place. So that's what that is. Then there's the Ascendant of Thunder for the life point. So if you have a lot of life points, he's good to play, which is why I'm only running him at 1. If you don't have a lot of life points, he can be really detrimental to you because you need the life points to sustain his attack for in case you lose life points from the battle involving him. And then you have 2 Chainsaw Insects, only because it's 2400 attack 4-star and it doesn't have to go into defense mode, but your opponent does get to draw each time it's attacked or attacks. So that's the only downside, which can be very bad. 2 Alexandrites. You don't need any vanilla monsters in this. I only have them in just because I threw them in and they have decent attack, and so I was like, hey, might as well just roll with it. And then get up to pretty high attacks with the equip spells. Zombino, Luster Dragon, Thunder King Ryo. He prevents your opponent from searching their deck, which is pretty helpful, and it can negate a special summon. I would actually recommend having more of him in here if you're actually building this style of deck. 3 Slate Warriors, because it's got 2 effects and it's a 1900 attack monster. First effect being that if you flip summon it, it gets 500 attack, which builds it up to 24, which is nice. Or if it's destroyed by your opponent's monster, that monster that destroyed it loses 500 attack and defense, which is awesome. Steel Swarm Sting, that just can, if it's sent to the graveyard, not even destroyed, sent to the grave, you get to, I believe, destroy an opponent's extra deck. Target, and destroy a Ritual Fusion or Synchro. So that can be helpful in certain situations. 2 Jane for the attack point boost. The milling the cards at the end really doesn't do anything for this deck. So 1 Chiron the Mage to get at your opponent's spell and traps. Also 1800 attacks, not bad. Max Warrior easily should be replaced by Chiron the Mage, but for now let's just run one of those because it gets a little bit of an attack point boost. Armored Bee will have your opponent's monsters attack, so that can be helpful in the opposite way of boosting your own monsters. Break of the Magical Warrior to attack your opponent's back row again, just to get rid of spells and traps. 3 Release Restraint Wave, because spells and traps are the things that are the most feared against this deck. This deck will get totally destroyed if it has a spell or trap that would just stop monsters from attacking in certain situations, with the primary function of the deck being their attack power. 2 Acts of Despair and 1 Axe of Fools. You could have like 3 of either, but it's really just preference, I guess. 2 Shrink for having your opponent's monsters attack and defense, which can be helpful. I think it's actually a pretty good card to have in here. You could have 3. Instead of having 3, I actually have a Gravity Lash to replace the 3rd one, so you could have 3 Shrink reasonably. Mage Power. You should actually probably have 3 of this in this ideal deck because it gives your monster attack based on the spell and traps on the field, which you're going to have majority spell and traps on the field, not majority monsters. So that's why Mage Power in this deck is better than United We Stand. Ego Boost and Blustering Winds, both give an 1000 attack point boost, but Ego Boost is a quick play spell, so that can be better, but it's more situational. Gravity Axe Grarl gives a 500 attack point boost and prevents your opponent's monsters from changing their battle position. So that is pretty good. Black Pendant, OG, if you don't know what it does, 500 attack boost, and it can inflict 500 points of damage to your opponent, which is good. Akibio Drakmord, super good because if you use it with like Blustering Winds, or Release Restraint Wave, then you use it at the end of this effect that would be used, and instead of getting it back in your hand, you just clear your opponent's spell and traps, and it was only hurting them to begin with, but it's still an equipped spell you control, so it works. So that's cool. The traps are fairly unnecessary. Metamorph, which obviously, you know, gives your monster 300 attack points, and then when your monster is attacking, can gain half the attack of the opponent's monsters, which can be helpful. Miracle Locust for an 1,000 attack point boost. Robbing Goblin, because anytime your monsters inflict damage to your opponent, which is what this deck's all about, they have to discard a card from their hand randomly, so that's pretty dope. Radiant Mirror Force, just because it can be helpful and staple. And Magic Cylinder, because if your monsters are being taken on by equally powerful monsters, which is what you want your opponent to do, then using this on them will totally screw them over. Anyway, that's going to do it for this deck profile. Thank you for watching, guys. If you liked it, please give me a like, and if you want to see more, please subscribe. Thanks.